For the Warriors, in this video, I'm going to give you a quick midday Wednesday update here of Hurricane Laura. There are signals that this could be a stronger hurricane than expected. We're going to go over that in a second, as well as track, timing, location, intensity, and what this will do for the rest of the United States here in this video. But before we begin, I invite you to subscribe below if you like detailed educational weather forecasts just like this, and also comment below if you have any questions or comments regarding Hurricane Laura. So this is what we're looking at right now is Hurricane Laura on the infrared, and you can see a symmetrical expanding appearance with this storm. This is indicating strengthening, and you can see this convection, these storms missiling into the eye wall here, which is very organized. This is a very organized look of a powerful hurricane, and that is starting to make a turn to the north as of right now. So this was just about 18 hours ago, and you can see this incredible difference. Okay, this was, yesterday evening, and then you go to right now, and it's a completely different story. So this thing blew up and exploded overnight and really strengthened. So you can imagine going to bed not overly impressed with the storm, and then you wake up and it's an absolute beast. This is the visible satellite, and you can see that spiraling appearance, those cirrus clouds now making their way into Louisiana, expanding it out into that area, and you can see these little areas of convection bubbling up into the storm, helping feed this storm. And this is going to be moving to the north and northwest now. This is the water vapor, and you can see a trough. This is a very important feature, as well as this ridge out here. We're going to look at the models here in a second and show you an animation of where this is going to go. But what essentially is going to happen is this hurricane is going to kind of hug that ridge and go near and just south of that trough. When these trough and this hurricane meet, that's going to considerably weaken the hurricane. The trough usually has shear associated with it, which stretches out the hurricane in the upper levels, and it loses that cylindrical column. But I think that's going to happen just offshore in the central and northern parts of Texas and Louisiana. So while this storm moves to the north, it's going to continue to strengthen as it hits the coastline. And so a very, very impressive appearance. Now you look at the ocean heat content. This is essentially measuring the power, the energy in the ocean for these hurricanes. Hurricane Laura has passed this cool area, cooled down by Marco. It is now in the open waters, and it's all very high heat content. So that's going to contribute to strengthening of this hurricane. If you look at the NHC, the hurricane right now is 115 miles an hour. That would put it at a Category 3. They are forecasting a major hurricane. This was as of 7 a.m. Wednesday. We're a few hours beyond that, but this was the latest update, and they have a major hurricane all the way out to Louisiana, Texas, a tropical storm and a depression into Arkansas, and a depression all the way out into Kentucky. So it's going to hit the coastline around 1 a.m. Thursday, so midnight or so, and eventually turn into a depression out into Kentucky all the way out to Saturday. And beyond that, it turns into an extratropical cyclone, which we'll go over in the second half of the video and what that means for the mid-Atlantic region. This storm is now forecasted to be a Category 4 near that coastline. So this has gone up just a little bit, and we're talking 135 miles per hour wind speeds. So that would put it at a Category 4, which we'll show you here in a second on what the models show. Hurricane wind probability, this is 90% chance in that southeast corner of Texas, southwest corner of Louisiana, and a 50% chance of 74 mile an hour or greater winds just around that. If you look at the intensity, this is what all the models are showing for the intensity. This is around landfall, and you can see a Category 3 by most models, a couple of them near and beyond a Category 4. But it's looking more likely now that we could be dealing with a Category 4 at some point here. This is the European computer model Ensemble. So this is several different runs of the European with different conditions. Just kind of measuring the averages here. It moves right into Louisiana, Texas, right along the border, and then eventually pivots and turns to the northeast. The GFS, same story, just a little bit to the northeast, and then the UK Met just even farther, just slightly farther to the east. It bends it just a little bit earlier, but there has been very high consistency between the models over the past couple of days, between several different models, of this hitting that Louisiana-Texas border. So this is looking very, very likely. There isn't much that's, indicates that this won't happen, or this will track wildly different. So this is the upper levels. You can see the troughing and the ridging out here. This is going to be moving out around that ridging and just near and south of that trough. And I think, like I said, that interaction is going to happen somewhere in Arkansas. But what we're going to look at right now is the actual models and kind of show you how this is going to track. This is the infrared by the GFS. This is as of right now, and you can see even further strengthening. This is going to be around Thursday into Thursday morning around midnight, and this is what it looks like when it hits landfall. And the GFS is forecasting landfall just to the east of the Texas-Louisiana border, but very, very impressive looking appearance as it moves into that area. As we get to the day Thursday, this really starts to weaken, especially when those trough and that hurricane intersect somewhere around Arkansas, but that convection and rain spirals really, really widespread now throughout much of the mid-Atlantic region and southeastern United States. That moves into the east on the day on Friday and Saturday and kind of just turns into an extratropical cyclone with lots of rain and even some thunderstorms for the mid-Atlantic region. If you look at the actual wind speeds, this is the HMON model, and this is as of right now. It's actually underdoing the wind speeds right now. But as this moves to the northeast, this is expected to strengthen, and you can see this is around Thursday, around Wednesday night into Thursday morning. This is midnight. So this is around midnight, and you can see the wind speeds 115, 110 knots, which would put it at probably closer to 125, 130 miles per hour, very close to a Category 4, just off the coast, 115, 120 knots even. So this would put it at a Category 4, and right around midnight or so, this hits, again, right where that GFS is showing, just to the east of the Texas-Louisiana border. As we go into the day Thursday, the wind speeds die off just a bit, but we're talking 34 knots or more, which again around 40 miles per hour plus, tropical storm force wind speeds in the northern half of Louisiana as we head towards Thursday morning into the afternoon. And this is into the evening. You can see still 30 miles per hour winds as we get into Arkansas, and then that really does weaken as it gets just near and north of Arkansas. So right around when it hits that Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana or Illinois area, that's kind of when the depression will really weaken and turn into a tropical cyclone. In terms of tornado potential, there actually is some enhanced tornado potential on the east quadrant of this thing. And you can see it's actually even gone up just slightly. A 1+ in the SIG-TOR index, which is indicating tornado potential for southern central Louisiana. As this moves to the north, that will hold for a bit. So the tornado potential can actually hold out for a day or two. And that it puts parts of Arkansas and Mississippi and even Louisiana under the gun on the day on Thursday and maybe even Friday off to the northeast. But Thursday will probably be the main day for this tornadic activity. The moisture content, you can see it actually improves as we head towards Thursday evening and night, and that moves into the northern part of the United States, and eventually some dry air kind of wraps into it on the day Thursday night. If you look at the wind shear, this is as of right now. That could be interacting with some wind shear kind of right now and later in the day, which could inhibit things for a few hours, but that wind shear does weaken just a little bit. And here's what I was talking about with that trough. Once this hurricane hits that trough, it should weaken just a bit as it moves to the north, and then it weakens right as you get into that intersection of those state regions I was talking about, and that really weakens, turns into depression Thursday night or so. If you look at the GFS, this is what it's going to look like precipitation-wise. Not a whole lot of flooding, but definitely a few inches of rain and several inches for Louisiana. But as this moves to the northeast, this is the day on Thursday and Friday now. This is Friday now. You can see the system is actually out here as an extratropical cyclone, but will continue to develop rain showers and even some thunderstorms for the mid-Atlantic region. So lots of rain for the mid-Atlantic region and some thunderstorms, maybe some slightly gusty winds, but nothing overly crazy. And if you reflect this out onto the precipitation amounts, you can see that the best bet for precipitation will be in the Texas, Louisiana area all the way up into Arkansas, where we could see as much as 4 to 8 inches, maybe even 10 inches in the southwest portion of Louisiana. And then out into the central mid-Atlantic area, we could be dealing with 1 to 2 inches of rain with this system. So even areas all the way out here could see some decent amounts of rain. One other thing we forgot to look at is the European computer model. This is kind of where it's showing. It's got intensity of a category 3 or so, and it moves it again just right along that Texas-Louisiana border just to the east. So overall, it's looking like southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana, with the strongest activity here, with again the right quadrant, which would put the east quadrant. That's going to be your best bet for the strongest winds and particularly thunderstorms. So even if the eye wall moves to your west, if you're in Louisiana, this could be a pretty intense storm for much of the state, especially the southern half, for both wind and tornadoes and even some rainfall in that southern part of Louisiana. But the rainfall luckily does not appear to be overly powerful. Again, 10 inches or so in the southeast portion of the state, still plenty of rain. So that's your quick midday update. Again, a very strong system. Looks like a category 4 at some point between now and when it hits the coast. Again, high-end category 3, low-end category 4. So stay tuned for other updates, folks. Share this with your friends. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.